Pacers fall to the Spurs for their first preseason loss. Bennedict Mathurin was simply terrific. The Pacers centers were decidedly not. Their defense was not very good. Their bench was very up and down. Some good things, some concerning, and we'll get to all of them today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today we're talking Pacers Spurs preseason game number 3 for the Pacers. Their first loss, 124 to, I believe, 108 for the Pacers. The score doesn't matter. The result doesn't matter. I said that after the wins, too. What does matter is a couple things that went quite well, including the starters being good as a unit and Bennedict Mathurin being just simply outstanding, and some things being quite bad. The Pacers centers were oof. The bench had some good moments, certainly from some important players, but largely on balance, not very good. The Pacers defense was atrocious. They gave up 34-plus points in all the first 3 quarters, as the Spurs just couldn't miss from 3, got open shots, just looked like the better team for much of the game. Normally, if you're a longtime listener of Locked On Pacers, you know if the Pacers lose, I will start with a bad thing, a negative thing, the reason they lost, how they can correct it, a trend, something to that effect. And if they win, it's the opposite, right? Pick a good thing from the game, pick a good player, a good trend, blah, 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 like fit it in to what they're doing. I'm not going to do that because it's a preseason game, and the biggest story of the game was none of those things. It was Bennedict Mathurin being just amazing on the offensive end of the floor in this game. Certainly some defensive miscues that we'll get to, but Ben Mathurin finishes in under 23 minutes, by the way, played 22 minutes and 45 seconds with 31 points on 11 of 12 shooting. He did not miss until the second half. He was 9 for 9 at halftime. He missed his first shot attempt in the second half, then made 2 more. 4 for 4 of deep, made all 5 of his free throws, 4 rebounds and assists to steal, 3 turnovers, 4 fouls, 31 points. When he was on the floor, which was almost half the game, the Pacers outscored the Spurs by 11. They lost by 16, right? They were great with him out there and terrible with him not. That was a trend for a lot of the starters. And by the way, the Pacers largely looked bad at moments in this game. But if you're going to smile after a game like this for the Pacers, it's because when your best players are on the floor, the ones that will be playing 20 to 25 minutes together in regular season, they were still good. That has happened in all 3 preseason games so far. And Mathurin was the leader of those groups even on the offensive end, right? He was really good in the second quarter against OKC. He kept getting to the rim and drawing fouls. And then this was his best half, really full game of preseason. And the big takeaway of it to me, besides just OMG, the stat line is insane. The shot making was brilliant, right? He did a lot of good things. In fact, even Mathurin's biggest fans were really happy with what Carlisle said about it. Post-game, Rick Carlisle and Ben Mathurin said he took the shots that were the right shots. When he runs and lets the game come to him and makes simple reads, his scoring is a major factor. And so it's funny he said that because I was kind of thinking during the game that we've seen Mathurin have really great games, 30-plus point scoring games, monster nights in general, really high percentage even, big scoring games. We'll talk about one in literally a couple seconds. But this felt more like Pacers ball. What I mean by that is go back to last March, right? Mathurin misses those 4 games early in the month, returns in Atlanta against the Hawks and has 30 immediately on returning. And later that month, he had that 22-point game in that crazy Minnesota one where Obi Toppin was crazy. And then he had 23 the next game against Dallas. And then he had 28 and 16 when they beat the Nets. He had 23 later in the month when they almost beat the Lakers until LeBron hit the buzzer beater. Right? He was on this tear of good scoring games. And after one of them, I believe it was that Brooklyn win, which went to overtime, Rick Carlisle was like, yes, Ben Mathurin was very good. We won the game because he was very good. It also, this game happened in a way that is not conducive to the best level of success for the Pacers, right? They need to blend those 2 things. That's always been the discussion with him. And it's happened at times, but in this game it did again, right? He was, as Carlisle said, getting his shots within the flow with pace. His threes, he made 1 over Champagny and then 1 over Wembanyama, the very next possession of the first quarter. The first one was a little more standard for him, but the second one was just catch, take it. With Wemby in your face, you have to go fast to do that. Maybe that's how he gets these up quickly. So I just thought the decision to get to his shot for him came really fast in this game, and the decision to take said shots came very quickly to him in a way that was perfect for the tempo of the way the Pacers offense typically wants to play, which is good because in this season, getting to tempo will be harder for the Pacers. They do not have Tyrese Haliburton. They will need Ben Mathurin to have games like this when he can, and the Spurs just couldn't guard him, right? 5 free throws was, I believe, the game leader. Wemby might have had more, actually. Yes, Wembanyama took 7, but he just couldn't be denied by anyone on that San Antonio team. And then he also just couldn't miss. He was 8 for 8 with 24, and he took a 3 right before halftime. There's like 2 seconds. It goes a deep 3, like 30 plus feet. I'll check the official distance while I explain the story. And Alex Golden and Dustin O'Parrick are sitting next to me. I don't know. And I literally said out loud, I was like, dang, you might ruin the perfect half. Because it was such a deep 3. I thought he was just going to miss. He was taking a buzzer beater. 32-footer. Nope, he just drilled it. I learned no lessons from Josh McRoberts and perfect halves. I appreciate him taking it, and he drilled it. I mean, he was just fantastic. Halftime, 27 points for Ben Mathurin. That would have led the game if he stopped right there. Ben Mathurin, excuse me. Victor Wembanyama finished with 27, and he was the leading scorer for the Spurs. So Mathurin's first half was the highest scoring game for any player. He was just awesome doing those things. That's combined with, a few nice passes and reads in the first couple of games. I actually was planning on maybe I'll ask about, he had another 1 pass in the first half of this game. I can't remember who it was to, but I thought, I need to ask about his vision after this game and see what Carlisle thinks about how that's developed throughout, camp and these preseason games. And then he made so many shots. I was like, oh, never mind. we're going to stick with the scoring. But 2 straight threes early, just sticking his jumpers, man in his face, no problem. In fact, the other part of this was, Pacers were down 3 or something in the first quarter. It not only was he playing within the pace, but it was the only thing working for the Pacers on offense. Nobody, the first quarter was ugly. They were only down a few, but their best players who all got going as the game went on. Siakam was feasting in the second half. Nesmith made half of his shots. Nembhard got going with 8 assists. They all played a solid game, but it was clunky early. They were subbing centers in and out. Their bench was not particularly good, but Mathurin was good. Right, he was breaking through the rest of the game. He was the only thing happening. And my notes to say, Ben can't. This is right before halftime. Ben can't miss and has 3 bad plays and a billion good ones. Right, it was just awesome the way he was making those. And Carlisle saying he took shots that were the right shots. That's what you want to see from Ben Mathurin, and that's what they hope he can be consistently this season. And for the millionth time, he's extension eligible right now. And for the millionth time, if he plays like that every single night this season, great. The Pacers will pay him a bunch of money next summer, but he was just brilliant on the offensive end in this game. He was the reason the Pacers offense looked like anything worth a dang in the first half. Without him, they would have looked completely bogged down, even though a lot of other starters had good games or developed into good games at certain points. Mathurin, not a perfect game. In fact, I thought his defense was very subpar at times. He had a pretty ugly turnover at one point in the first quarter, one of his 3 turnovers in the game. And then on the very next Spurs possession, I believe it was Harrison Barnes' only made shot of the entire game. No, I'm sorry. Harrison Barnes got right past him pretty easily. No, I was right. Okay, Harrison Barnes dunked. I'm thinking of a different play where Harrison Barnes had an easy lob to Wembanyama. But Barnes got an easy dunk out off the turnover, right? He got swallowed by a screen at one point and couldn't get back into it. He had some defensive reps that I think even Ben Mathurin, who wants to be, as he describes it, one of the best one-on-one defenders he can be, he would even probably say, I didn't defend very well. I got swallowed up in a lot of plays. I wasn't staying with my man, but boy, oh boy, did he make up for it. As good as it gets on the offensive end, what the Pacers hope to see in a game like this, right? My notes for the first quarter was that the Pacers did not look like themselves, and they were getting mostly okay shots against the zone. Mathurin didn't see a ton of that, but they were kind of bogged down. It was a weird reflection of this team that, with their best players on the floor, had largely been good, and they picked it up after the first quarter. But Mathurin broke through that. He continued to do so for the rest of the first half in the game. Just awesome to see him do it in their pace, or in their pace that they'll have this season. And to have it happen in a game like this where it's okay, this needs to be something that does happen at times in the season. If he only played 23 minutes, right? If he played 30 or whatever, that would have looked like, a third more minutes, he's sniffing 40 points, right? Maybe even climbs over it. So really impressive stuff from Ben Mathurin. And let's see if he can follow up with a very similar performance against the exact same team on Friday. We'll see who does and doesn't play in that game, but that was certainly the big positive of the game. The big negatives, man. The centers, the bench, the defense, yuck. It's all coming up here on Locked On Pacers. Before we get to any of that, we got to talk about two great groups of people. First up, FanDuel. The NFL season is here. The Bears are winning games. Oof. The Falcons are winning games, and FanDuel has offers you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers on FanDuel can bet just $5. You'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet. Put down $5 if it hits. You'll unlock $300 in bonus bets that you can use across the app for so many things. People love FanDuel for a variety of reasons. The building parlays, the live lines during games, player props. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today, and you can get started. I also want to quickly tell you guys about the great folks over at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. We don't have the full picture. You can end up leaving money on the table. That is why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface right on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for busy people. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. They do the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without touching a spreadsheet. You can identify where you're not saving as much as you thought. You can notice inefficient investment allocations, discover forgotten 401ks. You can also increase your savings rate, easily review finances with your partner, maximize your investments. Do not let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making this your first listen today and every single day. Listen number 2, Locked On Spurs. Jeff Garcia will tell you about Wemby playing again, and that it's over. I don't know when he's going to be the best player in the league. It's going to happen. I'm not sure when. It's just crazy, man. He's huge. He's fast. He takes jumpers. He threw a lob in this. It's nuts. I posted a picture of him, but like, you guys know he's tall. This isn't breaking news, but just like he's standing next to a guy who's my height, and I'm like, holy cow, he's huge. He has to duck to run off the court. It's unbelievable. He was very good. And look, the Pacers centers had to deal with Victor Wembanyama. If that was just what they stunk at, that's not good, but that's like fine or acceptable. Maybe is maybe not the right word, but a word to use. Like, yeah, if you struggle against Wembanyama, a lot of guys are going to do that. But that was like the tip of the iceberg. The Pacers centers were just bad. All of them in this game. And a peculiar, and maybe not like, we'll see because it's one game, like concerning is a stretch, but it was bad. It was really bad. I talked yesterday previewing kind of what I thought the Spurs games would reveal about the Pacers, what I was watching for. And I was like, this is the test for the centers, right? This is going to be a chance for the Pacers to really find out what they've got at this spot. Not that Gobert and Julius Randle and, you know, whatever version of the Thunder showed up, like weren't, but way more so revealing when you're playing a team with Wemby, who's great, Cornette, who's very underrated, and they didn't even play Kelly Olynyk in this game, but you know he's also pretty good. Just really good stuff from those two. Wemby was amazing with his 27 points and 4 assists and 3 steals and a block and 11 rebounds. He had 7 turnovers. That's not good, but he was very good. He was 9 of 13 from the field. Luke Cornette was 6 for 6 from the field with 16 points and 7 boards. Those centers just destroyed the Pacers centers. Isaiah Jackson started. I'm going to call out everybody's role and when they played because it's very relevant to the story of the game and very relevant to like the future of the center position. Okay. Isaiah Jackson starts. He plays 16 minutes, 15 minutes, 51 seconds to be exact. Over 2 from the field, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover. And you'll catch a theme on this one. So we'll keep talking about it. 5 fouls. Let's be clear. Sometimes fouling Wembanyama is the right thing to do. That was some of these, not all of them. Didn't make a shot, did not make or attempt a free throw. 3 boards. His defense remain. Okay, I have notes on these guys. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Isaiah Jackson had some good plays in this game, but largely just like, need a little more from him. Jay Huff, 11 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field, all from deep. His third one was like so short that you were like, oh boy. Oh man, is he like tired? And then he missed both of his free throw attempts, 2 rebounds for Huff, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 4 fouls. That's 9 fouls between those two who project right now to be the Pacers rotation bigs and have been the starter and backup throughout all of preseason. Big man number 3, who actually played with rotation players for the first time of preseason to close the third quarter, James Wiseman, 7 minutes, really 6 minutes and 56 seconds, 0 for 3 from the field, 1 rebound, 1 turnover, 1 foul. The Pacers got absolutely blasted in his minutes. They were -9 in Huff's minutes as well. And they were -7 in our last guy who played, I believe, the whole fourth quarter, Tony Bradley's minutes. Bradley played a little bit with, or no, was it Wiseman? I can't remember. There was one, no, it was Jackson Huff. There was one stretch of two bigs together. So it's not easy to just divide out other minutes. Tony Bradley's 12 minutes, 0 for 2. So if you've been keeping up, that's 0 for 10 combined with the centers. Bradley did make 3 free throws, so they scored 3 points and had 4 boards. He was the most effective. He also had a foul in this game. He did not have a turnover. I mean, Bradley might have been the most effective. It was not a good day for the Pacers centers on either end of the floor, really. Like, I could go through some individual notes, and Will, to be clear, did not like go crazy here. Jay Huff played with the starters, by the way. Oh, that's another thing we'll have to get to. But his first stint was rough. He had 3 quick fouls. Like, Isaiah Jackson was bothering Wemby on the first possession, but the jumpiness for him is back in a way that it was going away last year. It was a really big development for him that he wasn't just so like, I have to block the first shot fake that comes at him. You know, the jumpy play in this game that made me go, oh man, he was doing a jump ball against not Wemby, like a guard or no Harrison Barnes or something. It was not big. And the ref like got ready to throw it up and hadn't done it yet and was like prepping his toss. And Isaiah jumped like he thought it was coming. It's like he's just so eager to make a play sometimes, for better or worse. He did have some good reps defending on the perimeter. Like, I still thought in this game he was better against guards than bigs, even with his new weight. He had some steals from Wemby. That's great. But just he took a fadeaway jumper. It was not great. The fouls were back. Like, that wasn't good. Jay Huff, my first note just says yikes, right? He played with the starters. The lineup data website I use is just straight up not working tonight, but I really would like to know how many of the lineups that we saw from this game went, because we saw Toppin with the starters. I know that group's good and it played well together. It chipped into the Spurs lead quite a bit before halftime of the game. We saw Huff with the starters and Jackson with the starters, right? So clearly some experimenting going on. I asked Rick Carlisle kind of how he's sorting through that post game, but you know, that's clearly a part of the needed to figure out experiment for the Pacers is who should start at center, who should play with who. But Jay Huff's first stint was rough. He couldn't make anything. He had 3 fouls. Right, he's got to make shots. That's part of his appeal. Like, good efficiency and can make jumpers. That wasn't there. The defense was not as impactful in this game. Toppin was good at the 5. We know Toppin Siakam's a good pairing because we've seen it a lot. That's the other thing about Isaiah Jackson plus Siakam is Siakam gets traded to the Pacers in January of 2024. And at the time, Turner was starting and Jalen Smith was mostly the backup. And Isaiah got some minutes as the backup that year, but you're not playing a ton with Pascal Siakam as the backup. And then he played some in the postseason, and then he got hurt 5 games in to the next season. Like, they haven't played together that much, like hardly at all, honestly, right? It's like Toppin has by far the most familiarity at center with this team, and Toppin at the 5 went pretty well, even though a lot of the other minutes Toppin was a part of did not go well as the bench struggled in this game. Wiseman set a couple, like my Wiseman notes, took some jumpers I didn't like. They looked okay, but they just was like, why did you take that early? The screens were good. The speed was good. He just wasn't very effective with anything else. I mean, Tony Bradley was the most statistically solid guy. And my only note on him was just like, that was kind of unimpressive, right? Like, it was just not a good game from any center. None of them were good. And again, Wemby being great, neutralizing them to some extent, whatever, right? That's going to happen. You got to be better than that, though. 1 and 2, that wasn't it. It wasn't just that. Like, Cornette kicked their butts, and they kind of kicked their own butts with some, I think they would even admit, substandard play. And that has to be better, especially because it happened in the first game during which the Pacers kind of ran a normal rotation, right? Guys, it was not just hockey subs. It was, okay, you come in for you, and then you for you, and then you're coming back in for this. You know, they were trying to build a normal rotation, and they tried other centers with the starters, and shocker, the one that everybody, and we talked about this on this podcast quite a bit, thought would be the best, Toppin at the 5, was the best, but they need to figure out which of the traditional or nominal or whatever you want to use centers is the best with that group. And in this game, it was none of them, right? So very not concerning, right? I'm going to pump the brakes on that because I said after the first game, they played Minnesota, Isaiah Jackson had a terrible first stint and then a really good second stint. I said, let's see another game. And he was good against the Thunder. I thought, okay, like he's trending in the right direction. And then he had a bad game. So, like, do we just forget the first 2 happened? Jay Huff, I thought, had played good defense at times against OKC, especially a little bit against Minnesota. Wiseman was really good against OKC. Granted, again, OKC did not bring any of their starters. And Tony Bradley had been, like, battling hard on the glass, real rotation minutes in the first two games. Like, they all had reasons for like, okay, cool. And then none of that was there in this game. So do you just like forget about the good stuff because this happened? No, but like the fact that it was the first time they mixed and matched, one, and two, they were all bad, was just really glaring of like, man, are they going to be in for less consistency than expected at center? Are they going to have to rely on top and maybe more than everybody thought? Who knows? But it was very, very, very strange to see them all struggle at the same time. Some of them even with the same things. They're going to need more from the centers. Their defense was bad, and I have many more notes to get to from this Pacers loss to the Spurs to close out today's Locked On Pacers. Before we talk about any of that, we got to talk about Peloton, who is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet. It's designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is Training Reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. Many people love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat, and the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You can get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level every single week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at Peloton.com. We're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day your second listen. Locked On Bucks. They have all three of the four, no Costas Antetokounmpos now because Alex is signing a two-way and Tyrese Haliburton's trolling the Brewers with baseball jerseys. It's quite funny. Locked On Bucks will have more on the Bucks and the Antetokounmpos teaming up. Let's see if they can get all four at some point during the season. Okay, let's wrap this up with many other scattered notes from this game, starting with defense. Ugh, yikes. 34 points in the first quarter for the Spurs of San Antonio, who do not project to be like a studly offensive team. Second quarter, Pacers scored 36 and gave up 35. Third quarter, 35 again for the Spurs. Pacers were scoring enough to keep up. I think at that point they were only down like 10 or 9 after three quarters. But they could not get stops at all in this game. A lot of them pointed to transition defense after the game, and some of that I believe to be true. Like I watched the game and could tell you that their transition defense was not particularly awesome or engaged. I can also read you the fast break points was 20-17, and the Pacers in favor of the Spurs, to be clear on the fast break points there. But like, it wasn't so insanely bad to me. They just like kept, so they would double Wemby a lot on the catch when he was on the block. Whoever was at the top or in the slot would come down. And like, that's fine. That's going to lead to open threes. I expect that. And I think that's a smart strategy choice. But there were some that was just like, what happened there? How did you lose Champagny again, or Stephon Castle again, or Keldon Johnson made all three of his threes? Like, they just inexplicably were not well connected to their man or on a string enough to be able to get back to their man after breakdowns or after helping. And again, with Wemby's gravity, I get those. That was not all of them, though. This was a very poor defensive game in both transition and the half court for the Pacers. There have been games where Rick Carlisle post game will say, as one of his like barometers of defensive success, well, we gave up, or failure in this case, well, we gave up 30 or more points in all four quarters, or 3 out of 4 quarters, or whatever. They almost gave up 35 in each of the first 3 quarters. And then it was all deep reserved for the fourth quarter, and it was 20-13. But it was just a miserable defensive game for the Pacers, which kind of clouds a lot of stuff. Like, they couldn't get in transition as much. So that was concerning. I thought that was not very good for the Pacers. And yet some positives. Okay, let's get to some of those. One, the starters outside of whoever the center was were largely pretty to very good. Nembhard plus 12, Mathurin plus 11, Siakam plus 11, Nesmith plus 15. Like, when those guys were out there, the Pacers were still better than the Spurs. Nembhard was 4 for 9 with 8 assists on his way to 11 points. We talked about Mathurin's terrific offensive night. Siakam woke up in the second half of this game. He had a beautiful spinning, flicking shot over Wembanyama, and then he hit a 3 on the very next trip. Right? I thought he had a really solid game. I don't know if I said it, 7 for 10 for 17 for him. And then Nesmith hit a full dead sprint transition 3. He made all of his shots from deep. All of his makes were from deep. He was 3 for 6 with 9 points. When the starters are on the floor, the Pacers were better than the Spurs. And that is like the biggest smile optimism moment if you're the Pacers or Carlisle, the front office, whatever, is that all 3 preseason games, granted one of them against the Spurs reserves, that has been the case. The Pacers starters and rotation has walked off the floor ahead of their opponent. And that happened in this game. I thought there were some other good things. Toppin played the 5 with Siakam in the first quarter. Some of the Pacers stuff was against zone in that stretch, and they were getting good to good shots basically every trip. And that Toppin with the starters group was quite good. Toppin had 2 nice assists to Ben Mathurin. That group just looked better. They looked big. They were moving, right? That's what you want to see, is that they have the best lineup there. The fact that they went to it in preseason is telling. I think that if the game is tight or close late, pending if Huff or Jackson is playing well, I would expect that is going to be the Pacers' closing lineup this season. It only took one preseason game to kind of confirm to me that, yes, that is in fact going to be their best 5. And then at one point in this game, despite the centers playing bad, Cornette and Wemby, who have played together many times in this preseason for the Spurs, were on the floor together. And the Pacers went Jackson 5, Huff 4, Siakam 3. Whoa, huge group. That was very surprising. And I want to see more of it. Go huge. Neesmith at the 2. Do it. Learn something. Get some versatility on the team. If it lets you keep playing your style and keep playing it, do it. Do it. Wiseman played with rotation guys. That group stunk anyway. I mentioned after the OKC game that it's been tough to evaluate him because he's just played with the deep bench guys. In this game, he played with real players. He did not have a particularly good night. That group was once again quite poor. And as soon as the starters left to let that group check in the third quarter, there goes the Spurs. Some other notes and thoughts from this game. I have 2 more players that I have lots of notes on, so we will close out talking about both of them. And I think we've talked about every other bench player. Talon Peter, welcome back to being a normal 2-way player, not the best 2-way player ever. 1 for 5 from deep in this game. He did a lot of little stuff well. Again, 2 assists and 3 rebounds, etc. I'm not here to say that he played a bad game. He was just not the same guy who scored 18 last game. Now that's every rotation player, because Talon Peter, believe it or not, given the Pacers' current health status, is in fact the backup 2 guard for the Pacers. The last 2 guys I haven't talked about who are in the rotation today that are Cam Payne and Jarris Walker. Jarris Walker, every game has been the guy I walk out with the most notes on, and it's always been a combo of good and bad. In this game, right, I thought he was super active on defense early. That was good. He had his usual typical once a game, what the heck was that pass on a lob that was just a complete mess. But then in the third quarter, he was just spectacular. That was by far his most impactful stretch of the game. He really came to life. He was really sticking some tough shots. He was kind of initiating. There was a stretch where he was the lead ball handler on the floor, and it went much better than the same environment that happened in Minnesota. Third quarter, Jarris Walker, 6 minutes, 58 seconds. He goes 3 for 4 from the field with a steal. 7 points and a steal for him in that quarter. I thought he looked much better then than he did for any other sequence of the game. And he had a really great, everything quarter. He was running the ones when the fourth quarter group just started off, but he had an ugly turnover or 2 in that stretch. So some good moments running the show, some bad ones once again. A really great quarter, but his first half was not particularly good with some of his turnover stuff. I know it's going to happen. I can just tell by the way he reads the game that eventually Jarris is going to cut this turnover habit. Might not even be early in this season, but it's going to make him so much better. Just cutting out 1 or 2 mistakes will make him look so good. He's been on the precipice of yes, there it is, games in the preseason. It has yet to happen. Speaking of yes, there it is, Cam Payne. How about his third quarter in this game? Mercurial, as somebody said about him in a comment to me on social media, is the perfect description. Third quarter Cam Payne, 2 for 3 from the field with 2 made threes, plus 2 free throws for 8 points. That is conveniently all of his points in the game, I believe, came in that third quarter. He might have hit he did hit 1 floater elsewhere. So he finishes with 10 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 2 turnovers in this game. I don't think the stat line is fair. He set up 2 wide open shots in the first quarter that did not drop. Jay Huff wide open corner 3 and a Jarris Walker wide open 3 at the top of the key. And then he had a hockey assist on the buzzer beater that ended the first quarter. I believe that was made by Talon Peter, but he broke down the defense and made the rotation happen. Then he threw it to the top, and that person threw it to Peter. He himself could not make anything at that point of the game, but he was actually making plays and making a defensive reaction happen in this game. There you go. And then 5 points on 2 possessions and ending with 8 in that 1 quarter. So Rick Carlisle saying post-game, it's a lot to bring a guy in who has not been in a camp, right? Simulating a camp-like situation, he said, can be challenging. They're trying to get him into great shape, and that is not easy. at this stage. But you could see him already being better in this game and not getting winded after like 4 minutes of play. So some good, certainly, in this game. Some stuff that in another game against the Spurs on Friday that'll be worth watching, but largely some grit your teeth and hope it doesn't happen again stuff for the Pacers in this game, masked over by a brilliant game from Bennedict Mathurin. Tomorrow, Tom Lewis is going to join. We'll talk about a lot of these things, the point guard and center situation and so much more. I want to talk about the GM survey at some point this week. They play the Spurs again. I want to talk about that. So much to get to. The games are happening. There's topics to cover. If you want anything discussed, let me know by tweeting at me at Tony R. East or this podcast at Locked On Pacers. Same handles on Blue Sky and Instagram. Or if you're watching on YouTube, comment. Great way to do it. Thank you all so much for listening today. Back tomorrow with Tom Lewis and Vinny Corneros. Tell that everybody have a wonderful day.